Our fourth speaker is Andrew Anderson from Selkirk, who is the head of Frontline Defenders, which was founded in 2001 in Ireland and does amazing work to protect human rights defenders. At the end of, when he finishes speaking, I will open the floor to people to ask questions to the four awardees.
Thank you, Andrew, especially for the Selkirk reference. I'd like to thank also the President of the General Assembly, OHCHR, and all those involved in the Human Rights Prize. It's a profound honour to be here to receive that prize. It's a particular honour to be here alongside these three fantastic human rights defenders who are receiving the award on the same day as us. Our work is focused on the protection of human rights defenders around the world. And as we celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Declaration on Human Rights Defenders, we sometimes wonder if celebrate is the right word, because the scale of the backlash and repression against human rights defenders internationally is almost universal, in a slight irony, given that we're also celebrating the Universal Declaration on Human Rights. We see defamation, smearing, marginalisation, threats, harassment, restrictive legislation, attacks on funding, criminalisation, detention, disappearances and killings of human rights defenders in too many countries around the world. We took up cases of human rights defenders at risk in more than 100 countries last year. We saw at least 312 human rights defenders killed in 2017. And the world kind of just carries on as though that's not absolutely appalling. Two-thirds of those who were killed were human rights defenders working on land rights, environmental rights, and indigenous peoples' rights, as Joanie was talking about in Brazil. And if we want to address issues at the intersection of the environment and the crisis we're facing, then we need to focus in particular on the very violent attack on those human rights defenders who defend land rights, environmental rights, and indigenous peoples' rights. One of the things I wanted to mention is that we held some 6 weeks ago a World Summit of Human Rights Defenders in Paris. We brought more than 150 human rights defenders from around the world who agreed a programme of action to strengthen international protection of human rights defenders, and our colleague Alice Mogwai will be presenting that in the session this afternoon, and I recommend that to you all. It's available at hrdworldsummit.org. But I want to take this moment to think also in particular about human rights defenders in prison. We invited Miriam Al-Khawaja to go up and receive the prize in the ceremony earlier today. She's a distinguished human rights defender in her own right, but she was also here to represent her father, Abdulhadi Al-Khawaja, who sits in jail after a sham trial and torture in Bahrain. And we want to use this prize and the occasion of the 20th anniversary to call for the release of Abdulhadi, who is so unjustly imprisoned and is now in the 8th year of his detention in Bahrain. We're using the opportunity to launch this report, which you will have the opportunity to find copies of as you are leaving. We're calling also for the release of Azimjan Askarov in Kyrgyzstan, of Ilham Tohti in China, of David Isaak in Eritrea, of Atina Daemi and Narges Mohammadi in Iran, of Tran Thi Nga in Vietnam, in Germain Rukuki in Burundi, and of Dominga Martinez Velasquez in Mexico. All of them are either serving very long sentences or have been in prison or detained for very long periods of time. And it's a real challenge to keep those sentenced to long sentences in the public attention. And I think it would be really good if we could use the opportunity of all the celebrations and commemorations we're having these days to also focus attention on those who are stuck in prison because they stand up for the human rights that we are trying to celebrate these days. We're very proud to be an Irish-based international NGO, and I'd like to close with a quote from Irish Nobel laureate for literature Seamus Heaney, who spoke at the opening of the first Frontline Defenders Conference back in 2001. He wrote, "History says don't hope on this side of the grave. But then, once in a lifetime, the longed-for tidal wave of justice can rise up, and hope and history rhyme. So hope for a great sea change on the far side of revenge. Believe that further shore is reachable from here. Believe in miracles and cures and healing wells. Hope is not optimism, which expects things to turn out well, but something rooted in the conviction that there is good worth working for. The tidal wave of justice is driven by the human rights defenders whose courage inspires us. It's a fantastic honour to receive this prize, but it's also a fantastic honour to work with so many absolutely brilliant and courageous and effective human rights defenders around the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Andrew. So now the floor is